What's going on YouTube? So of course the midsize market has really been changing in recent years with a lot of new entries. This Colorado was new a couple model years ago, but today we wanted to take a look at the 2025 model to see what exactly has changed since this model was introduced a couple years ago to keep up with the newest competition from Toyota and Ford. So let's go ahead and take a look. Now, of course, the Colorado continues to be available in a lot of different trim levels. The trim level we're looking at right now is the Trail Boss. So the Trail Boss is going to be, of course, an off-road focused trim level. It's also kind of positioned on the lower end of the spectrum, giving you a more affordable price point. Indicating that ruggedness in the design, you'll notice that pretty much the entire front here is going to be in a rugged matte black molding. So all through here, all the grille, everything is this matte black. But we do have a gloss black finish for our signature bow tie emblem and a little bit of silver down here on our lower fascia. Now obviously you do have Trail Boss branding as well. And then taking a look at our headlights, as you can see, we do have halogen headlights. This is one thing I was kind of hoping Chevy would have updated by 2025 model year. Just the fact that the lower trims still come with the halogen headlights. You have to upgrade to get the LED headlights. Most vehicles nowadays are giving you LEDs as standard equipment. Nevertheless, as I squat down here, you're going to notice we have lots of ground clearance. That's because the Trail Boss comes standard with 9.5 inches of ground clearance. So that's going to be really more than enough for even the toughest obstacles out there. Moving on to the wheels. You do have standard equipment, 17 or 18-inch alloy wheels. These obviously aren't 18-inch alloys. That's because we've optioned on the available 20-inch gloss black alloy wheels. Definitely like the look of these. This is probably the way I would go. You still keep the all-terrain tires even when you upgrade to the larger wheel size, and I think they just overall kind of pop better with this exterior design, but to each their own. Now, obviously, you've got this big boxy cladding that's going to go around your wheel arches to indicate that performance off-road. And then up top here, we've got a gloss finish to the gray mirrors. They're going to have standard blind spot monitoring on board as well as heating.
Now at the side of the Colorado, I do want to point out, unlike some of those other new trucks that Drew was mentioning, the Colorado is only available in this one configuration. That's going to be the crew cab configuration with a 5-foot bed. So some of the other trucks do give you a little bit more customizability, but especially if you're buying on more of the basic end, you are going to benefit from having the crew cab with the 5-foot bed as opposed to having to pay extra for it. Now, additionally, I do want to point out, since we reviewed this truck last, they have changed the colors around a little bit. So there's a couple new colors, including a reef blue and a sunrise orange. So those are some really cool new colors that you can select on this 2025 Colorado. We also have some Trail Boss branding here on the side. And taking a look at the rear, of course, we do have a little bit of a setup back here, so you can't see the tailgate too well. But overall, the design is going to remain the same as what we have come to expect from the Colorado. That means we're going to have some Colorado stamping in there. Also, our taillights are going to remain the same, which is something, just like the headlights, I am a little disappointed in, is the fact that we have the fully incandescent taillights, so none of the elements are LEDs. So just keep that in mind. A lot of the rivals do offer features like that. As far as the tow rating on this model, you can tow 7,700 pounds, which is actually really quite impressive. And speaking of, let's just go ahead and talk about some of the functionality as well with the bed. As I just mentioned, there is a 5-foot bed that's going to be standard on every single Colorado model. As you can see, you can easily fit a bicycle in there, no problems whatsoever. You're also going to have a bed liner, and you have a few exclusive features as well. So a couple of those exclusive features have to do with this right here. So now that I've got that unlocked, as you can see, you do actually have this whole area hollowed out in the tailgate. This is watertight, and you can put drinks back here if you'd like to do something for tailgating. You can also store your tools really nicely back here so they don't have to go rattling around in the bed. I really like that feature. Now that's called a StowFlex storage in the tailgate, and also in order to access the tailgate, they do have this really nice foot grab right there to get in. Now, as far as the safety systems are concerned, I'm also a little disappointed in this area because Chevy is including some of those as standard equipment. However, things like adaptive cruise control will be an option pretty much on every single trim level. So that's just something to keep in mind. The Colorado will make you pay a little extra for that, as opposed to things like the Tacoma where that's standard equipment. But guys, there are some tech upgrades that we haven't discussed yet, so let's dive into that. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. All right, moving on to the interior next. We'll go ahead and just open up the door here. Like I mentioned, this is the Trail Bus. This is one of the more affordable trim levels, but there are actually a lot of different options you can add to the Trail Bus to enhance the feeling of the cabin as well as the technology. We do actually have those features selected, and you'll notice that will impact things like the seats. So moving from a cloth seat, we instead get this full leatherette seat. This is finished in black today with a little bit of stitching, but overall, you know, pretty plain looking seat, just some lines running through the center section. Seats themselves are power adjusting when you have the leatherette, and you also have 2 ways of lumbar support. Well, let's go ahead and get inside. All right, and now that we're fully inside, we'll look around at the cabin materials. So again, like I said, Trail Bus is the more affordable trim level, so it shares kind of the interior materials with the base model. Hard touch plastic here on the armrest, hard touch here, hard touch there. Hard touch along the top and in the center section and along the middle. Everything does feel pretty solid though, good texture. But you know, like I said, overall, this is not the trim you're gonna buy for luxury features. That being said, you do still get really nice technology on board, even if you get a more affordable trim level. Let's see if I can trigger these displays to play the animation. There we go, check that out. Some really nice animations will come across our dual displays, which, by the way, standard equipment. This gauge cluster here that you're looking at, the 11-inch gauge cluster, beginning last year, Chevy made this standard across all of the trim levels, which is super nice. Now, obviously, we're indoors, so we're not going to actually fire up the vehicle itself, but you know, you already got a good look at the gauge cluster. And then in terms of our steering wheel, nice leather-wrapped steering wheel. I like the meaty feel of this. Good buttons on board. Heated steering wheel is an available option here on the Trail Bus. And we also do have a manual tilt and telescoping function. This is what Mason was talking about earlier, though. We actually don't have adaptive cruise control on this model, even with a lot of options. Now, in terms of interior storage, let's pop that open. Pretty deep storage cubby down there. 2 cup holders. Some nice trim at the bottom with like camouflage, as well as on our wireless phone charging pad. And then Chevy retains a traditional shifter, so nothing complicated here. Just going to pull back for drive. You have manual shift buttons located right there. 4-wheel drive controls are off to the side. This does have the available 360-degree camera system, and they continue to offer that as an option across the trim lineup. So even if you get a cheaper truck, you can still get a 360 camera. I like that that's available on the lower end models. Climate controls are dual zone automatic. On most models, you can just twist that knob there to adjust your temperature. We have heated seats right through there. Ventilated seats are also available. So you either have a 6-speaker sound system or an available 7-speaker Bose sound system. This would obviously come with the 6-speaker sound system, but the Z71 will give you that nice Bose sound system. The screen itself here is 11 inches. This is going to give you the newest General Motors infotainment system. So one of the key things I like to highlight specifically is just reminding people that it still has wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. It's only the electric products that have eliminated that feature. Up top here, you could get a auto dimming mirror, and you could also get a standard size sunroof on your higher end examples.
All right, so let's check out the rear seat area in this Colorado. Now, I do have some legroom and headroom figures for you. So about 35 inches of legroom and about 38 inches of headroom is what you can expect in this Colorado. That's actually more than what you're going to find on the Toyota Tacoma. It's probably biggest rival. The Tacoma is pretty cramped in the back seat, and this one is not what I'd call super spacious. It's definitely a lot smaller than a full-size SUV, or excuse me, full-size truck, but overall, it's not bad, even for someone who's 5'9" like myself. As far as features are concerned, we do have 2 cup holders integrated right here. Additionally, I'm very happy to see that Chevy is including 2 vents right there, and then down below, I believe you can get some power outlets on higher-end examples. Now, some of your higher-end examples can also get a central armrest, and one of the nice features that I know a lot of truck buyers like is this sliding rear window. That's actually new for 2025, going to be standard on some of your lower-end examples, including this Trail Boss trim level. It used to not be standard on this one.
Now let's talk a little bit about what is under the hood. So this is an important area of update for 2025 because Chevy's actually getting rid of the lower output versions, and now all of them come with what they have now branded Turbo Max. So that is a 2.7-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine in its highest tune. So that's 310 horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque. Now that's going to be paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Obviously you do have 4-wheel drive as well. And we'll go ahead and kind of cut to a scene of us driving this engine previously in the 2023 model year, because that's kind of the point. This is the fact that you get all this power now on your lower trim levels. We were super impressed by how powerful that model was, and they've really kind of democratized that across the entire lineup. So just a little punch of the accelerator to start us off here, and immediately you're going to be able to tell, obviously, that you have a totally different powertrain setup than what you had on the previous generation. So if you're familiar with the 2022 Canyon, you had 2 different engine choices, a 3.6-liter V6 and a turbo diesel. Now both of those are going to be gone for the new generation. In its place, we have a 2.7-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. This is the same kind of setup as we see in some versions of the Sierra truck, but in this case, we actually have a high output version. So this version is making 310 horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque. Oh yeah.
Very nice. That's up a hill too.
Oh yeah, up a pretty steep hill.
Yeah.
That torque though, that is what you really feel. You know, it's just tuned for excellent torque delivery. You know, some people might, miss the diesel, for instance, but with this, you're really getting diesel-like torque, which I think is a cool characteristic. It's kind of a interesting balance where you're getting, power that's more like the V6 and torque that was more like the previous diesel. Let's talk about the other aspect of the powertrain. That's going to be the transmission. So we've got an 8-speed automatic on board, as you just saw me demonstrate. Change your foot position on the throttle and you get a really nice quick response. Of course, with all the torque it has, though, it doesn't always have to hunt around a lot because you do have plenty of torque to be able to get yourself up inclines and things like that.
Yeah, it's a really good mate to this engine, and we are going to have 2-wheel drive as your standard drive setup on the Canyon, unless you go for the AT4X that has standard 4-wheel drive, but you can option on 4-wheel drive to any of the other trim levels. Yeah. This is definitely a powerful truck because, this is a mid-size truck. This is not a full-size Sierra, and putting this powerful motor in the smaller truck body certainly makes for a nice, powerful experience. I do also want to hit the fuel economy for this new Canyon. Since we do only have one engine option on every single Canyon model, we're going to have 2 fuel economies, one with 2-wheel drive, one with 4-wheel drive. So 182320 is going to be our two-wheel drive fuel economy figure. Four-wheel drive is going to come in at 19 miles a gallon combined. If you go for the AT4X, you're going to be dropped down to 18 miles per gallon. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about pricing when it comes to this Colorado. You can see the prices for the 2025 model on the screen right now. As far as this model, let's go ahead and take a look at the window sticker. I apologize. I hope you can hear me. There's a lot of yabbering going on at this auto show. This is the 25 Colorado Trail Boss Crew Cab. $39,800 is our starting price. We also have the Trail Boss Convenience Package, a few other options as well. This is a pretty heavily optioned one. Plus $1,595 destination. We're still sitting at $46,990, which honestly isn't too bad of a price considering how expensive some of these new Toyota Tacomas are. So honestly, that's not too bad. Now, if you're looking to buy a Chevy Colorado or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. A link to that is provided in our video description, and there's also a pinned comment at the top of this video. And guys, that's going to be where we leave off on this first look review at the 2025 Chevy Colorado. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of cool car videos on this channel. I promise you won't want to miss out. Additionally, we look forward to covering this model even more extensively for 2025, so stay tuned for that. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.